Hey, 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 good evening, everyone, good evening. I hope y'all are having a fabulous day thus far. It's been a while since we have been connecting on here, but today we are going to bring you some awareness. Yes, we are. We are going to make you understand the importance of wealth and health. And I want y'all today to just go ahead and sit back, grab your popcorn, grab your glass of wine, and just sit back and just listen. This is bringing us back to the face behind the brand with my special guest, as y'all can see here, this beautiful lady, Miss Denise Day, with Miss Day all day. So I just want y'all to see and listen and just get it all from us. So before we get started, I just want to let Miss Day come on and just give you a little bit of background so y'all can know who she is. So go ahead, Miss Day. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, sis. I appreciate you. You know, I love you. Thank you for allowing me into the house again today. And I am Denise, aka Mrs. Day All Day. I am a 62-year young retired entrepreneur. Okay. And I'm just loving life. And at this great point in time in my life, my mission and my purpose is to assist women over the age of 40 in areas of faith, fitness, finances, business, and relationships. Because I'm really excited about you can find love after 50.
All right.
So that was my story. Okay. So I enjoy life. I'm a two-time, no, I actually live out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. For the last 7 years, I was a resident in California for 32 years. I was training manager for the U.S. Navy, a civil servant. So as I said, I enjoyed it, but honey, I'm retired from them now. Praise God. And I'm just enjoying the journey. And that's how my sister and I met here through our entrepreneurial journeys and just assisting women. I have a heart of service, and that's what I enjoy doing. But there's been a journey along the way. We're going to
Yes,
talk about that today.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that's I just wanted y'all to get a little feel so y'all can see who Miss Day is with her beautiful spirit. So y'all can just know something about her before we get into anything. I just wanted y'all to just know who she is. And as y'all all know, for me, I am Denise Murray. I'm the owner and CEO of Unique Business Experience, where I help people with getting their businesses structured, getting them set up properly, and also helping with accounting needs such as bookkeeping, payroll, taxes, and also I'm a notary. And on top of that, I have this platform to help even market your business. So when I say you got a one-stop shop, you have a one-stop shop from getting your business started to getting your books done to then getting your marketing done, all in with Unique Business Experience. So that is my background. And now I'm going to go in so y'all can hear about what we want to talk to y'all about today. So Miss Day, just so we can get things started, can you please, we're going to talk about medical battles first. And I just want you to just tell us, what were the early signs on how did you find out something was wrong?
Wow. Well, that is a good question, but it's sure enough loaded because along the way and over the past 20
Mhm.
years, I have had multiple medical emergencies, honey, situations. And the farthest back,
Mhm.
the first one I'll start with would have been that I was experiencing fibroids, right? I was getting my
Mhm.
regular OBGYN situation done. And the lady that was doing it, that was back in the day when I went to Planned Parenthood. And the lady was telling me she couldn't do my cervical exam properly because she felt something there. So that in turn sent me to the OBGYN, and that's where they discovered these fibroids. And I mean, I had massive fibroids, and they call it a myomectomy, where they were huge. It was a big one. Then I had several small ones on the outside of my uterus. And
Mhm.
like you say, that started with pain. I was just having uncomfortable pain that wasn't normal. But then she confirmed that. So that was my first surgery. And
Mhm.
then I don't know if you want me to just flow into the rest of them, but after that first year when they found those fibroids, then I had to have the surgery. My surgeon took those off the top, and that surgery is called the myomectomy. 2 years later, because sometimes they say they can dissolve fibroids, but mine was too far gone. It was bigger than
Oh,
a grapefruit. And so he couldn't even go that route. They just had to do surgery. So that's what took that out. But 2 years later, they were back. The fibroids were back. And unfortunately, they were on the inside of my uterus this time. And the sign was that I started having blood clots, like massive blood clots, chunks. It was really weirded me out. And so he told me that's why I was doing that, because the blood was coagulating and that's what was creating that. But they were on the inside. And unfortunately, the option was my surgeon that I had for like 10 years, my OBGYN, he didn't do that surgery on the inside. So he told me I'd have to have another separate surgery with another surgeon. And I didn't want to go that route. And I was in my 30s. And at that time, I was like, if I could, girl, I was affording to live in California. I was like, well, if children not on the horizon at this point in my life, because I was godmom to many. But I opted to have a hysterectomy at that time, because that really was scaring me too, that if these things are growing back this fast, this massive, I don't know what's going on. And in my head, I started thinking it could be cancerous. But so we did a partial hysterectomy to where the uterus came out, but I kept my ovaries. And that was the initial part.
Yeah, when you started with going to there for that, how was your cycle like when you were going through that?
And see, that was the other thing, that I never had a problem with my menstrual cycle. I had a very short, brief 3 to 4 days. But the reason is because I was on birth control pills for years. I was eating birth control pills like Tic Tacs. Okay. I was on time, having them all the time. But then I found out afterwards that all of that birth control with the estrogen and all of that stuff that's in birth control pills, that can cause some of that fibroids. Wow. But see, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at the time. But from my late teens to early 20s to the 30s, when all this started happening, I was an avid birth control taker. And my periods were regular. My periods would be 3 or 4 days. After day 3, 4, it was over, and no pain, no pressure. And that's why when I started experiencing, the second time around, when them blood clots was coming, oh, that shook me to my core. I called my doctor 3 o'clock in the morning, and he answered. And I told him, I got some trauma over here. He said, don't worry, just call me in the morning. Because, we had already had that first surgery. Right. So when this second one was coming with blood clots, chunks, but that's what it was, because they were on the inside. And that was the distract. That was a clear warning. But that's what we need to know. When your body is telling you something, listen. Because I can say I wasn't having no problems, but I started right before that first round. It was aching. It was some achiness going on. And he told me them fibroids were so big, even if I would have got pregnant, there wouldn't have been room for the baby to grow. Yeah,
now, so I experienced that as well with the fibroids. A few years ago.
What was your journey? What was happening?
It was crazy because I had bad periods. Like when my cycle came on, I bled heavy. But also my mother also was a heavy bleeder as well. So when I had my cycle, I literally used to change like on the hour. I had to wear the tampon, the pad, and like like I had to do the one that go from the rooter to the tutor, the purple pad, always one, the real long one, because of the fact that I went so heavy. But I always used to have like clots that went, but I wasn't really on birth control at the time. Like for years, I bled like that. And then what happened was, for years, like my earlier years when I was a teenager, I had got the Depo. And at that time, I didn't. For some people, they would stop having a cycle. But for me, for some reason, I didn't stop mine. Mine's actually bled for 3 months straight. Like you're supposed to get it every 3 months. And I actually went 3 months straight with a cycle. Like I could have had stocking always at that point because I went so long. But they actually then gave me the pills to help me stop me from bleeding all that, since I was going so consistently like that. But then fast forward a few years ago, which was in 2021, I had went to the doctor because I was having a whole lot of pain. And I was like literally in the house, and I just fell to my knees. And I was just like, I can't even walk. Like I was in a whole lot of pain. I didn't know what was going on. Went to the doctor, and it was the fibroids. Now, when I went the first time, it was like 3 or 4 of them. But then when I had to go for my follow-up, it was like 8 of them. But then one of them was huge. And it was like, in order for me they started giving me the different options of what I can do. And at this point, I was like, I have a daughter, but for me, I wasn't really concerned about having any more kids anyway. So for me, I was like, I didn't want to do a partial because, like she said, the doctor told me is that if you do the partial or if you do the, I think it was the one that they like do where it's like a
scraping. That's scraping.
And I was just like, I didn't want to do that because she said it is a possibility that it can come back. And so I was like, I don't want to keep having multiple surgeries. Like, I don't want to keep going and doing and going and coming back and going again. So I was like, for me, I don't plan on having any more children. So at that point, I was like, just go ahead and I'll just do the hysterectomy because of the fact that I just wanted to be done with it. However, during that time after that, that's when I found out that I had cancer in my uterus, but because I was having the hysterectomy and it was already in there, they was able to remove it at that same time. So that wound up being a blessing that I wound up not having to go through anything because of the fact that they was already there, so was able to get removed. So that's my journey with the fibroids, but I know with you, when we talk about cancer, I know that was something that you battled with. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about and how did you find that out and what happened with that?
Yes. Okay. The fibroid drama had passed, but then all of a sudden, I'm a 3-time cancer survivor, right? Off the rip, I'm 3 times. 2 times have been breast cancer, once in each breast. And in February of this year, I just went through lung cancer surgery. Praise God, we got it out, got it early. But with that first encounter it was on the left side. This was about 20 years ago, 23 now, but 2012. Okay. So this left breast, now I'm going to tell on myself first. I was not proactive. I was not a person that always did my breast exams. And the reason is that I could never tell. I could never determine what really was a lump and what wasn't. And that always used to just kind of confuse me. Now, I'm going to preface this with saying my mom was a nurse for 28 years. And even me and my mom kind of talked about this, but I never understood. Like, I feel something here, I feel something there. But I was an advocate of going back to my doctor. I would go in and get my exams and do that and get my mammograms, right? But I definitely was not a checker. So this particular year, my significant other was gone, and it wasn't King Day. Y'all know I'm married to King Day now, but it was another ex. I'm a 2-time survivor of divorce too. Okay, but I was at my home and I mowed the grass this particular weekend with a lawnmower, actually mowing the grass. The next couple of days, I start feeling pain in my chest. But let me just tell y'all how good God is. Because that pain in my inner chest made me think, well, maybe it's just hurting because I mowed the grass. But then I realized, nah, this is something else. So I started feeling around in my inner chest, right in this area, and I felt the lump. And so I'm like, well, I don't remember that, but not being vigilant, I didn't know. So I go downstairs in my house. I tell my mom, I said, Mom, feel this. What do you think about this? This wasn't here, but it's hurting me. And she said, I don't like it. She said, it doesn't feel good. So I go off to my doctor. My doctor, she was one that will send you to a specialist. She did not play around. Who felt it, didn't like it, send me to the specialist. So as soon as I go into them, then they said, we're going to do a biopsy. So they biopsied it, went in there because they did the exam. And then she said, well, you can come back for another day if you want to do the biopsy. I said, I'm here right now with my shirt off. Let's do it. So they biopsied that lump and say, we'll call you in a couple of days. So that was a long 2 days. But when they called me back, they said it was cancer. And so I'm like, wow, okay, what's the course of action now? So then that took us straight into doing surgery. I had an awesome surgeon that went right around my areola of my nipple, went in there, got that cancer out, and took one lymph node out under my arm. No cancer was in the lymph nodes, and I was on my way to recovery. But that was a blessing, because if that could have sat there, I would have never known. But going in, following up, but I can't take credit for finding it. That was God. Because if I wouldn't have mowed that grass that day, I would have just probably been thinking it could have been another lump just sitting in there growing. That's why I believe you gotta get your checkups, go in for mammograms. Don't be afraid. So that was the first one. You want me to tell about the second one?
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the second one now, here we come 20 years later, and 2022, when the pandemic was in 2020, that's when I retired. I was home. I wasn't doing any of my doctor's appointments. I didn't have to go outside the house. I was in here Netflixing, chilling, and drinking wine, okay? I was cool. But when I came to myself one day and the Lord said, no, you need to get back on these appointments. So when I go back in for this mammogram, they ended up sending me a letter and said, we believe we saw something, so you need to come back in. So I'm thinking they talking about the left breast, but it ended up being the right side. So when they go in, they look at it, they take the do all these little pictures and stuff, and they give a report to the lady that I'm going to at the cancer care place and say that it looks like it's something in there. I have dense breasts, but it looks like something. She says to me, we can follow this. She said, I can see why they can do it, kind of downplaying it. It could be something, but I find we can just monitor it for 60 days or 3 months, or we can do a nuclear mammogram. Now, I can hear my mama, rest her soul, the nurse in my ear, and she said, we don't watch stuff grow. So I said, no, we go ahead and do that nuclear mammogram because I'm paying Blue Cross Blue Shield a lot of money. So when we go do the nuclear mammogram, I come back to her office. She comes walking in looking kind of weird, right? And she says, well, unfortunately, it is a cancer. The good news, though, it's a stage 0. I didn't even know cancer came in a stage 0 because this one was stage 1. This was stage 0. So I jumped down off the table and I say to her, okay, so what we going to do? We looking at the pictures. You can see it's cancer sitting there under this arm. It was on this side. I said, okay. She said, we can take it out in an outpatient procedure. Let's get it. Let's go. I don't play with disease. So we get it out. And that, like I said, it was a stage 0 and no cancer in the lymph nodes. And I had radiation. The first one, I had like 40 some sessions of radiation. This side was 32 sessions of radiation, and I was healing. But what that taught me was advocate for yourself. And I know we're going to get into this talking about advocating for yourself. Don't let nobody downplay your pain. Don't let nobody tell you to wait and let's watch it, because I'm not going to watch cancer do nothing. But get me an appointment and get it out. That's my opinion. But a lot of times people fear the doctors. We're going to talk about all that, but go get it out. Because if I would have been sitting there listening, and she's the top cancer surgeon person out here running UNLV, doing all that, gonna tell me to watch it for 3 months. Why would I watch cancer grow for 3 months?
Right.
That just doesn't sit well in my spirit. That ain't what my God said. And I believe in the spirit of the Lord. So we weren't gonna watch nothing. We gonna get it out.
Right. Now that was, I know what you were saying when it comes to like not, because I'm the worst in the beginning. I used to be. I'm better with it now, but because I was one of those people who, if I wasn't dying, I wasn't going to the doctor. Like I literally had to be one of those people who was literally like I can't move type of person before I went to the doctor. Like I mean, because when we grew up, we grew up with the, you could get some Tylenol or some Tussin. Like it was something you
get some castor oil, you'll be all right.
Get some hot tea. It's like you wasn't really having to like run to the hospital or the doctor or everything. It was like always some home remedy. If you do this, if you do, it wasn't never something that we literally always had to run to the hospital for. And so I just never really did. And so I was like, if it wasn't something serious, one doctor that I think only doctor that saw me annually was my GYN. And that was like one thing that I always made sure I got checked was that. But other than that, it was like nothing else that I really took serious like I should. And when it came to like my primary care, like I wasn't doing the different things that I supposed to. And I know there's a lot of people that's out here that have those same type of scenarios like with me, where we just not taking our health so serious. So fast forward, I'm like, 2 years ago, I go to the doctor, and here I am, still the same person. Like every time I go to the doctor, you hear something, so that's why I be like, that's why I don't want to go to the doctor. And so I go to the doctor, and I'm like, okay, I'm okay. I didn't feel like I had any issues. I knew I had gained weight. but I didn't know, I didn't feel like there was any like things that was really wrong with me, I should say, because I felt like I didn't have like no serious where I couldn't do certain things. So I just thought it was just because of my weight, you know, that I was like having like little, like where I was like running up, like if I was to go up the steps, I'd be literally like where I can't barely breathe, like I had asthma because of my, and I just felt it was because of my weight. So when I went to the doctor, they were like, "Oh, you have diabetes, and you also have high blood pressure and moderate sleep apnea." And so I was like, "All right," you know, like I'm sitting like it was almost like I didn't believe what they were saying. So I just was sitting there like, okay. And so we were talking, it was like about, you know, you need to lose the weight because the weight is what is putting all this on. So then they started telling me, and I was like, I'm going to keep it real. I'm a foodie because I really was. I was a foodie. Like I like to eat. And so for me to sit here at the time and be like, oh, I'm going to lose all this, I'm going to be on this strict diet and I'm not going to do this. I was just like, it just wasn't realistic to me. And I was like, however, if it's something serious about it where I can't, you know, move on, then I need to do something else. And that needs, you know, I need to put something else in the plan. Right. So my sister at the time, she had surgery. She had went and got the sleeve done. And me, like I said, I'm so scary when it comes to going to doctors and hospitals and all that kind of stuff. So I heard her do it. My cousin had did it and different people had did the sleeve. So I was like, I don't know, maybe I should look into it. So I started doing some research first. And then after a while, I was like, let me just go ahead and talk to a doctor and see what they're talking about and different things. And so I finally did that and went and talked to the doctor. And then I started going through, because it takes a while. It's not something that happens like right away, because you got to go through all these visits. You got to talk to a psychiatrist. You got to eating thing, habits. You got to go. It's so many steps to get it to actually, before you get to the actual surgery. It took like literally like a month before I actually got to go through it. So then when I finally went through it, and then the weight was gradually going down little by little. Like I started even losing weight because of what they told me I couldn't eat and different things beforehand. That started my weight loss even before the surgery. But I was I just me. And that's why I said that's where I'm like, I'm weak at. Because for me, if I would have just followed that schedule like that they gave me before the surgery and stuck with that forever, then I probably wouldn't even needed the surgery, because of the fact that I started losing weight just from the stuff that they said I couldn't. And then I'm like, white, everything white is wrong. Your white rice, white bread, the white. So it's just like
white rice, everything, right?
It's like all that is the wrong. So it's like, okay. So I started losing. Then when I did it, I gradually started coming down. And so I was like, okay, so the weight really started. But then what I loved about it, because I know at one point I was questioning myself. I was like, do I really want to do that? Or do I just want to go get lipo? You know, because I see everybody going to go get their tummy tuck and different things like that. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, only because I'm still a foodie. So if I still can eat, if I pay all that money to get that surgery done, it ain't gonna do nothing but come popping right back out like the Hulk. So I was like, not the Hulk. I said, so for me, I need something that's gonna stop me from being able to eat, because if I can still eat, I'm gonna eat. So that's why I was like, that helped me. I said, so that truly helped me when it came to like slowing down with my diet, and it really brought me down. And by the grace of God, when I had my appointment on Monday, this past Monday, they said I no longer have the diabetes, I no longer have the high blood pressure, nor do I have the sleep apnea. So I was like, thank you, Jesus. However, I'm just a little nervous because I did get a call back about my mammogram, so I have to go back. So there'll be a follow-up with that. But you know, other than that, I'm just happy that I did go through those steps, because without that, you know, and I would have never known. But it's like, and like I said, if I wasn't going, I would have never found out any of that, because like I said, I didn't think anything was wrong. I was just gaining weight.
Wow. Yeah. That is so amazing. That is so amazing. But let me say this too, that I understand that whole, and within our community, within our families, that some people have that spirit of, I'm not going to see a doctor. I remember growing up, and one of my good girlfriends and one of my good sister friends right now, two different scenarios. She had women in her family that would just terrorize her about not going to an OBGYN. Right? I'm not going, I ain't letting nobody look down there on me. I don't know these people, all this kind of stuff. And ovarian cancer is real.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just, and then I had a ex, his aunt died from ovarian cancer, but she was one of those staunch people that said she not going to let nobody look down there. Well, my thoughts on that is that you don't know if something down there if they're looking at it, and yours is not the first and not the last that they're gonna see. Okay, right. So I didn't understand that mentality, but that could have been that I came out of the household of a nurse. My mom was in the nursing field. And so even it was very uncomfortable getting your pap smear. But to me, the downside is finding cancer, and I died from it. So, but then I had my good Judy girlfriend. Her mom was afraid about the mammogram. That terrorized her. But thank God that she overcame that, and she went and got her mammogram. And she was like, it ain't that bad. It was not that bad. And when I go in there now for mammograms, girl, I stand so still, I shove it all the way up in that little thing so they can watching good. Right. I mean, like, get the best pictures y'all can get. Did you get enough? Right in there telling the text how wonderful they are, how I appreciate them, because they be reading them pictures. And then sometimes women, we our threshold of pain is kind of low. But honey, mine, when I go in there, that is the one place where my pain threshold is at the highest, because y'all squeeze it as tight as it needs to be. This ain't gonna last but about 30 to 40 seconds, and I will be out of here. And I need y'all to get the best picture, especially when they telling me my breasts are dense. So I applaud you, Queen, for getting in there, getting it done. And like you said, we done already prayed about it, that God has got you, and that he is Jehovah Rapha, the Lord that healeth thee. And whatever it is, that's why I really wanted to encourage women, get your annuals up, get in there and get it done so you will know. But sticking your head in the sand like an ostrich and we just gonna bury our heads, that is not gonna get us anything but problems. Right. And I talked to my good Judy, my girlfriend, Queen Z, about this, that she was in the military for 20 years. And then even back then in my 30s, there was women dying of breast cancer in their 20s. But you'll have the CDC and the people telling you, oh, don't get a mammogram to age 40. Now, I think that's a lie from the pit of hell. This is Denise's opinion, because if you got a cancer in your body in your 20s and 30s, telling you to wait till 40, that gave that thing 10 years. So a lot of times women are popping up with stage 4 cancer. And then when that really resonated in my mind, stage 1, stage 0 versus a stage 4. But I think they tell us to wait till we 40. If you don't be done passed away or passed on to glory, the insurance people don't want to pay for them tests. But see, if we got insurance, they ought to pay, and you ought to go check it out. Now, if they tell you, oh, you wait till 40. Now, this is my strategy. I would tell anybody, take it or leave it. If they telling you wait till you 40 to get a mammogram, oh no, I'm having pain. I'm having pain in this area, and I want to get it checked out. Well, we recommend you wait till 40. No, there's secretions coming out of my nipple. Those are all symptoms of breast cancer. Whether it's leaking or not, pain, you go get it checked out. So they can't deny you at that point. Right? So you go and you follow up, because you have a right to know what is going on in your body. So that's my breast tipping advice, and then go get it out. It is not unto death. Breast cancer is not unto death. My other good queen friend, she had breast cancer in one, then she had to go back, and she had a mastectomy after the first one, but she went back and had a double mastectomy. So they both had to come off, but she wasn't, and she's a woman of God, honey. She prayer warrior. But she was like, I'm not going to let this disease infiltrate my life and metastasize to my organs. They got to go. Get them off, and let's move on. Because who we are is more important than these breasts. I've been blessed enough to where I did not have to have that. I know we're going to talk about what was the pros and cons and what happened, but get it out. Now, this lung cancer business, once again, advocating when your body is telling you something is wrong. I went in to go look at a lump on my right side. It was like a fatty tissue lump, but ain't no just lumps ought to be growing out your side, right? So I go in for that. They took a picture, but they did it without dye. So I go back to see my breast cancer guy on my regular checkup. Look at me rubbing my boobies. Went to go check up on this boob, and then he sees that picture. He said, Denise, this thing's not even with dye. I can't tell what that is. How about I write you up for a PET scan? And you know, a PET scan is when they can see the whole picture in dye, in color. He said, let me do a PET scan of your upper torso. I said, sure enough, do it. I got insurance, praise God. And when that picture came back, then they saw a nodule on my left lung. Now, I went in there for something on the right. God had them to see the nodule on the left. And then he said, let me transfer you to a thoracic surgeon, a lung guy. I go see the lung guy. Again, the report is saying everything's fine. Everything's okay. But me and my husband sitting there, King Day is a witness. We sitting there, and the man said, I don't feel right. He said, he get on his cell phone, the surgeon, calling a radiation friend and say, reread this. The man reread it. He said, no, it's something there. I see it. And so he said, I can get it out. He said, it's not lighting up like cancer, but it could be cancer. He said, and if you did, and I had a 20-year history of smoking cigarettes and other green things, right? So praise God for deliverance from cigarettes and cannabis. But he said, if you didn't have that 20-year smoking history, I wouldn't be so concerned, but I'm a little concerned. So I was getting ready to say, well, okay, let me go pray about it and we'll be back. And I looked at my husband, he looked at me, and I could hear my mom again. Why we don't watch stuff grow? And so I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and set this surgery up. Let's get it done. That was in mid-January. I had surgery February the 4th. And then come to find out, he said, if I'm gonna cut it out, he said, if it's cancer, I may have to take a little more. But if it's not, I'm gonna just cut it and we'll be good. Girl, I had that surgery and I woke up talking again. And that I got to tell you about my brain tumor too. But when I woke up, I found out, I'm asking for ginger ale. I asked the nurse, was it cancer? She said, your doctor going to talk to you. She said, but what I can tell you, he saved another person's life that I know personally. So I knew it was cancer then, right? And he came in, told me that lump, that little nodule, stage 1, it was small. So we caught it. And he said it was cancer, but he didn't even have to take off a third of the lobe of my lung. I did not have radiation. I did not have chemotherapy. And he took, I think, 6 lymph nodes, but he did not have to cut that much. And I am still recovering right now. But I came home. I stayed in the hospital 5 days. We thought it was going to be 2. Had me a nice private room, healing nicely. Girl, God is so good to me. So, but again, advocating, finding out, because I'm not just going to let lumps sit on my body, not my back of my head, nowhere. And so that was my cancer journey. But I've had great surgeons. I've had God identifying what it is. It's the grace and the mercy of God. And like I say, I'm not scared. And when we go into these appointments, ladies, take notes. Take notes before you get there. So questions that you have, you ask your doctor, because usually they running in and out. They really fast. They'll try to rush you along. But if you got questions, they can't leave that room.
Right.
And that's how you get to empower yourself. Some folks, I can't say me, they are afraid of their doctors because they start talking real fast, saying stuff over your head. The doctor the other day, I went back in about this. Am I healing properly? This thing's still swollen. He said, yeah, because they had to separate my ribs. These muscles aren't healed. And he said a word. He said flaccid, that muscle is still flaccid. I said, excuse me, what does that mean? And he said that the muscle's not retracting. So that's why it's still protruding here. But honey, if I don't know something, I got to ask the questions. I got to know what we're talking about. Yeah. But okay, I'm rambling. I'm going to stop. But
that's fine, because people need to hear these stories and know, because it's so important to really know what's going on with you. Because even the other day, like I said, I went to the doctor, but I even felt bad with myself at that time, because I'm like, here it is. I lost. And yes, things was good when I went. However, I'm not doing the work. And that's another thing that we have to worry about is, I was like, when she asked me, she's like, well, have you been working out? And I got real quiet because I didn't want to be, at first, I didn't want to say nothing, but I had to be honest. And she asked me, she was like, have you been working out? I was like, no. I was like, I ain't been working out. And so that next day, I was like, let me go ahead and start walking because I was doing my walks. And I was like, let me go ahead and get my walk in and then at least start getting workouts again because I was like, I don't want to like get to the point because we are over, like you say, you're over 40 and over a certain age, you don't heal as easy sometimes and as quick as you used to. And then when you got stuff going on, if you keeping it going, then you know sometimes things may surpass. But one thing I didn't know is that I didn't know it could be hereditary when it comes to cancer. Like I didn't know that if you have that within your family, that it don't have to actually be something that you specifically had something going on. It could be just because of what was going on within your family history. So they do those tests. And I didn't know that, but because I have to, within my family, I have it big on both sides.
Right.
So that's why I have to go so often. So how did you know that prior or did like, since I know what you know?
No, and the crazy part of it is that right before the year before I got my first breast cancer, my mom got breast cancer at 75. 70, she was 70 or 75 was when she got her first diagnosis. And that shook us up. We was like, what? And my mom was cool, calm, collected, talking to her doctor, asking him about what was the steps. And she had to have the radiation. But girl, she was mad at her surgeon because her surgeon, she says he did a hack job on her boobie, that he really cut it bad. So when she saw how, you know, my surgeon had went around my areola and how he got mine out, she would be looking, she said, oh no. But what God did for me is that when my mom got diagnosed first, and then I ended up helping take care of my mom afterwards, packing her wound, because I'm very squeamish. My mom was the nurse. She wanted me to be a nurse. I said, I'm the nurturer. I'm not a nurse. But girl, I had to step it up a notch and help her when it came to packing her wound, doing what needed to be done. But there was no breast cancer history in our family. And then now I done came up with it twice, but we did that test. That's called something about a BRCA gene. They'll give you that test to see if that BRCA gene runs in the family. And it was not in my family tree, but here I had it, done had it twice. But here the Holy Ghost just dropped this bomb in my mind to share. The real culprit, I feel, and what I've read is that one of the biggest culprits of cancer is sugar. Now you go look it up, find it, and see, they don't want us to know this, y'all. Sugar is a demon, and cancer feeds off of sugar. And when I look back over my life, I have been a sugar fool for most of my life. And sit running around talking about, oh, I'm just a chocoholic. I'm just addicted to chocolate. No, I've been a fool, and I've been on chocolate, cookies, candies, cakes, and garbage and processed food for most of my life. And that is why I believe a lot of this cancer had invaded my body down to the brain tumor that I had. And we had to get rid of that. But it is real that, and they don't want it is sugar. The way the sugar industry in this country, it is a pity and a shame. And now the children are addicted to sugar. And the fact is that sugar is worse than heroin. And you'll notice when you start snacking and eating something sweet, now you a rat on the wheel, and it's gonna keep on spinning until you eat it all up. And I have been guilty of it, but I got an ebook, honey, and I'm talking about kicking that sugar habit, because that's gonna be the doorway and the key to freedom. We got to get free of sugar because it is designed to keep us sick, and cancer feeds on it. And there's so many of you see I'm sitting up here sipping on a juicy right now, girl. But there's so many ways that we can get off of soda and sugar and all of this toxic poison that we eat, and it's in the foods. You would be surprised. Start reading labels. And I just have to throw that PSA out there that sugar is a fiend, and it is as addictive as heroin. In my coffee now, I went to black coffee. I used to do all this creamer in my coffee. Oh my God. But I'm doing black coffee, and I'll put a little bit of agave in there. I'll do regular, raw, natural stuff. But there's ways around it. We'll talk about that too on the next one. But food is the key. Food is the key.
Right. I really, when it comes to like since I had that surgery with the sleeve,
And you look great too. You look good.
Thank you. I don't do the soda, and I stopped drinking. So I had to do that for the surgery. So we had to stop way before I even had it. I couldn't drink soda. So since then, it's like now, even if I was to taste a little bit of soda, it's like it burns. So I don't even drink
Oh.
soda anymore. So I said that was just keeping me away from soda altogether. So I haven't had soda since then. And that's been since 2022 now that I haven't had no soda.
Oh, praise God. Because if you want to start dropping weight and getting free, start with soda first, girl. My thing now, and I was even on diet ginger ale. I was
Mm,
drinking that like a junkie and an addict, right? But
mm,
now my drink of choice is my husband give me coconut water, squeeze a lemon in it, or either squeeze lime. And if I
mm,
want it to be a little sweet, I put a little dash of agave in there. Stir
mm,
that up, girl. That is just so soothing to my soul. And
mm,
that is my soda now is lemon water, coconut water with lemon. If he don't have lemon, he'll do it with limes. And
mm,
I love it. It's so just good for you. But a can of soda got 32 grams of sugar. And
mm.
just think kids are drinking that all day long. I
Right.
was guilty because the sugar-free crap got the other garbage in it. That
Mhm.
stuff is poison. Okay,
Right.
I'm gonna jump down off this soapbox, but they start with that. You want to cleanse your soul and your spirit and
Right.
your body. Start
Right.
with that soda and get something else refreshing.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things like I know Michelle Obama was pushing a lot when Obama was still in office about even with the kids because there's a lot of kids now that are obese and I was listening to my one of my girlfriends had called me one day and she was telling me how a young boy who was playing football they was like he's very active and everything and he literally died in his sleep and it was still even though he was active it was still because of his weight and I was just like wow like we really have to be so careful and we even have to watch that with the kids because a lot of times we just giving them stuff and allowing them to have certain things when it's like just
It's not
because they're
good.
still gotta be like watch the kids too because you don't want them to go to bed and not get up you know what I mean
It's
and that's scary that's very scary because I was just like I just couldn't believe it.
And never in history have you seen the children be so heavy. They
Mhm.
are children are type 2 diabetics. When you spoke about you're free of the diabetes and the blood pressure, praise God. Because I've been labeled as a type 2 diabetic for over 25 years, maybe close to 30. Because when I first got to California, type 2 diabetic, but I will just try to give myself a pat on the back. Oh, I manage it. How about you manage your way out of it? Because type 2 diabetes is reversible. I'm
Mhm.
getting ready to do the Living Good thing, 21-day fast with Dr. Living Good, but I taking them dirty pills, the metformin, Farxiga, all of this other stuff, and I do an overnight shot. But God knows I got to do better. And
Mhm.
my doctor, when you say I got a great endocrinologist, she's a beautiful young Pakistani doctor. And I go in there and I talk to her. I tell her when I be done trip. I tell her when King Day took me to Krispy Kreme and I had some Krispy Kreme donuts. And girl, why we in there the other day? They gonna tell us we can have another dozen for 2 cents. They want you fat. I was like, oh damn. 2 cents for a whole nother dozen. But why did we take that dozen? We passed that poison to the neighbors. Forgive me,
Right,
Lord. We
right.
gave it to the neighbors. But the fact of the matter is, I would go in there and I would confess. I would tell her when I wasn't doing the right thing. I told her when I created the
Mhm.
juicing and the smoothie ebooks and I'm doing better and I'm going to be a pescatarian because I was a vegan, but we fell off after 18 months. But I want to be a pescatarian, eat plant-based, eat fish. She said, Denise, I appreciate you. She said, because you come in here and we have great conversations and you tell me the truth. She said, I got some patients, they coming in here lying to me, telling me they eating salads, but they numbers don't lie. And see, you can lie, but your
Mhm.
numbers are not going to lie. That A1C gonna tell on you. It's gonna tell what you've been doing and what you haven't been doing. But work with your doctors. Be honest so you can get a plan. Girl, I'm going to church first Sunday and going to the altar, and I'm gonna tell Jesus about this sugar business. And then I'm gonna do my own
Mhm.
book, Kicking the Sugar Habit. I got to get free because this ain't no joke. And I don't mean I can't never have another sweet in my life, but there's certain
Right.
alternatives, and I just can't do it at will. Because I want to live. I ask God to extend my years, to be here for
Right.
62 years with all I've been through. Girl, it's the grace and the mercy. I'm telling you, it ain't because I'm so fabulous, but it's because God is good. And I feel bad for the
Yes,
baby
yes.
because to
Yeah,
have
I'm
a
telling
child, type 2
you, yes.
diabetic children. Mm.
Yes, and that's scary when it comes to kids. It's really scary because
Mhm.
I was just like really shocked with the little boy. But tell us, because I
Anytime.
know you're like, what should people not skip when it comes to getting this checkups in general? What is the most important things that people should not skip, and what should they do annually or monthly? Like, what should we be doing?
Okay, in my humble opinion, I think the very clear thing, especially for women, but I didn't know, I found out that men can get breast cancer too. When men that have fatty tissue around their breast, men can get breast cancer. So share with, hey, have them be looking out. If they've got lumps, have them check them. And then if you got any leakage in your nipples, okay. So to me, the high priority exams that should not be missed are mammograms. Mammograms are critical. OBGYN checkups are critical because that's something that you just wouldn't know that's going on. Those are my top two priority.
Now for the mammograms, when should they go? Because like I know they always tell you to go after 40. So don't you think that if should people check with their families and see what's going on with their families, or should they just start going at an earlier age?
I think if I was the woman, if it was me or somebody that's in my family, I'm telling you to go younger. The younger, the better. Because
Well,
in that period when I had my first bouts, they were saying do 40, 40, 40. I was in my 30s and I was seeing 20-year-olds dying. Sometimes women are more susceptible to breast cancer. Thank you, Holy Spirit, after they have children.
mm,
After you have a baby, your body is more susceptible. And that happened to a young lady I work with. She had
mm,
a grown son, then she had a baby, and right a couple of years after, a year after that, she came down with breast cancer. And
mm,
she was 40. She was just turning 40. And she used to look at me and say, Denise, my God, I can't believe. She would just be so just surprised that I had been through the cancer and I'm still coming to work. I go get my radiation at lunchtime and I'm back at the job. But I would not wait. Like I said, in order to get that first baseline, if
mm,
your primary care is telling you you're too young, the devil is a lie. Tell them you're having some pain, you're concerned about leakage in the nipples, so they have to refer you. And sometimes you got to lie to get what you need. And it ain't even a lie. You just trying to find out what's going on in your breast.
right,
Okay. And,
right.
and they don't get to tell you. But if you get that first baseline, at least every year after that, and do it around your birthday. Because now you know if it's another year later, time for my mammogram. And if
Mm,
something's going weird, you feel something weird, go check it out. That's
mm,
how I found that one after mowing the grass. I don't even mow grass. You
mm.
know that was God. Look at God. But to me, those are the critical ones. And when I had this tumor in my head that was a Rapley's cleft tumor, the size of a golf ball, that just started with a headache. It was
Mm,
a headache. And then they start misdiagnosing me. Oh, it's a sinus infection. Oh, you got this. Oh, it's not that. It's something else. And then they was just giving me pills. I had a neurologist prescribing me Percocet, Darvocet, any other kind of set you can think of. I was on them pills, but I
right.
couldn't even eat. I would cook food. I couldn't stand the smell of food. I'm balled up in the knot crying. Light
Mm,
was bothering me. And they telling me I got a sinus infection. But I prayed about it. I went to church. I said, God, you got to reveal this. And here come Mom Dukes again. She said, Niece,
mm,
I had a CT scan. It showed nothing. My mother said, tell them to give you an MRI and an MRA. I went
mm,
in there to the doctor. I'm telling him I need an MRI, MRA. Oh, Denise, those tests are expensive. This is the same dude writing me the drug prescriptions, right? I
right.
was going to flip his desk like Jesus in the temple. I said, I don't care what it costs. I pay Blue Cross Blue Shield on time every month. We went in there and got that test, girl, the MRI and the MRA. I'm walking out. The Spirit of the Lord, I hear God say audibly, turn around. When I
Mhm,
turned around, I look at the screen, girl, there it is right there. The skeleton of my head, and there's a big old tumor sitting in the middle of my brain.
wow.
Biggest day. And the lady said, ma'am, oh, I'm sorry. I can't talk to you about it. I said, ma'am, I didn't ask you anything. And I
Mm,
walked out there because see, God had already told me. I asked God, He delivered. He said, here's what this is. And
mm,
girl, it's 6 months this went on. But
mm,
if I wouldn't have advocated for me, and it started to attach to my right eye.
mm.
Had a surgeon, girl, I had braids at the time. He was going to go up there and get the tumor out of my nose. But the last minute, they said, we're going to do a craniotomy. I said, okay. I said, God, whatever you say, to be absent from the body, I'll be present with the Lord. But if you get me through this, I'll tell of your goodness the rest of my life. It's 25 years later, and I just told all of us, Wanda, Z, my husband, Fred, told all of us this story. 25 years later, and I woke up talking after that surgery.
Wow. That's
but if I wouldn't have pressed and advocated for my life, I could have been blind or dead. And then telling me, well, it was a Friday when we finally discovered, called me up talking all soft. Oh, well, they said, I know they found the tumor. Yeah, they did. We going to get a picture of it, but we don't know if it's a aneurysm or a cyst. And if we don't get you in today, we'll do it Monday. It was a Friday. I said, no, what you're going to do is set the appointment. I'm on my way to the hospital right now. I called my mother and my pastor. And I got to the hospital and praise God, it was a cyst. Because you ain't gonna tell me I can have an aneurysm. They pop in your heads, don't they? They can blow up.
Right.
On Friday, you're gonna tell me to wait till Monday. See, that's why I was gonna flip his desk over too, because he was a little too soft for me.
Right.
Yeah. But you gotta fight for your life.
Right.
And that's what it was. But those tests are critical. Your breast, your ovary area, all of your areas down here, your OBGYN, if it's your eyesight, whatever in your body does not feel right, go get it checked out, because that's your body telling you something's wrong. It's not normal. It ain't normal to have lumpy pieces of flesh in your coming out your side. But when I went to check it out, we found a lung cancer.
Right.
When they telling me I got a sinus infection, but it's a tumor. Because I wasn't the person to have headaches. I had a headache every day for 6 months. And I'm taking pain pills. Girl, it got so bad, I didn't even have nothing left to heave up. I understand what a dry heave is. When you ain't got no food in you and you ain't got nothing left.
Right.
It's no wonder I just didn't die in that moment. God said, because we finna reveal this. And I went to church and I said, God, you got to reveal it. My pastor got out his seat and came and laid hands on me because he could see how much pain I was in. But that's what I said. I ain't gonna never lay back. I got to fight for me. I am my advocate. And whoever's listening to this, let that be the word of the day. Be your own advocate. That's why I said, when you go to a doctor appointment, take a notepad. You come in there with your questions, and whatever they say, you write down them answers. Right. But you got to fight for yourself. And then don't feel bad about it. Don't let nobody downplay it. Because my top-notch surgeon telling me, well, let's watch it. I can see, it's not nothing. No, let's take a nuclear mammogram. And that's how we found the stage 0 cancer. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, let us know what's going on. Because like I said, if people out here, there might be people out here that's like me before, where we just wasn't looking at these things seriously. And then we thinking, I'm good. And we're not really getting checkups and things. So we need to all know that these are things that we need to do and not to skip past on it. And then also, like you just said, one thing that a lot of us need to do, because like I was told the same thing at 40, but we should be getting those mammograms, and we should be making sure that we do that earlier, especially if you have it run in your family when it comes to cancer and stuff, because you just never know. And you can actually, like she said, you could get it at that 0 opposed to wait until it gets to the 4. So it's best to really get these things done early. And just talking to you has just been a blessing, because the fact that you went through what you went through and you right here telling us about it, like that's nothing but God to have been able to do that. And then you still are right here with the spirit that you have. But also, I know that you also have where you have your ebooks, where the different drinks and things that are healthy drinks, the smoothies and things. If you can just tell us, and I'm gonna also put it in the comments when we finish. I just want people to know about those drinks and those books that you have, because people could use those to help them when it comes to when they're eating, and maybe they might need to change something that they might be eating. So using your ebooks smoothies can really help people.
Oh, thank you so much. But one last thing, the test I would say take, and then we're going to talk about the ebooks, is a colonoscopy. Oh, because see, again, they tell you not to get your colonoscopy until you're 50, but still, if you could get one sooner, do it. But I had mine at 50, I had 55, and coming out of that pandemic, I had to get another one, right? Because I'm 62 now. But girl, kind of find out the last one I just did, I'm going to do a video on this. Girl, they found nine 9 little polyps were in my intestines, right? Girl,
Wow.
and that you just and it ain't even as horrible as it used to be with drinking the stuff. Because back in the day, that first stuff was really bad. But anyway, I drank my stuff, stay near the bathroom, get it cleared out. And when I woke up out of that, the doctor told me, he said, we had 9 little ones, but I got every one of them. And I was like, well, praise to God. I just found the little paper. Why they took pictures of them, gave me little copies of the pictures and everything. But people be sleeping on their colonoscopies. And that's another area where cancer can grow, and it comes from a lot of that dead meat. I'm just saying, because take a long time for meat to digest in your intestines. So every once in a while, now that leads us into the smoothies and the juices. My website in my area, because I am a published author, is mrsdayallday.com. Just take all of that, smush it together. mrsdayallday.com is where my vault is. It's called Mrs. Day's Vault. And in that vault, I have 7 ebooks. I have the Kicking the Sugar Habit, right? I got juicing for vital health with juicing recipes, honey. All kind of good stuff with smoothies. The other ones are the cookbooks are for vegan, plant-based, and keto. So, but all of them got 20 recipes in there. And that's what we start doing. My husband, praise the Lord for King Day, honey, because he the super chef and he be hooking the sister up. And we do the juicing and get all the kinds of fruits in there. And even buying your fresh fruit. We love pineapple, watermelon. But a lot of times with our fruits, we get frozen fruits in the bag. And JJ Smith is the one got me turned on to juicing, because you get frozen mangoes. But we got some real ones right now. But frozen mangoes, pineapples, all the berries, all the mixed berries in the bag. You get a big old bag of them at the grocery store, and you don't have to worry about them going bad. I love Granny Smith apples. Throw your apples in there. But let me give you this heads up about strawberries. I love some strawberries. I came from Salinas Valley. Me and Z did. From that, that's where we grow all them strawberries. But you cannot play around with strawberries. Do not eat strawberries unless they are organic. An organic strawberry, and they sell them in the frozen bags, right? And so, because the reason is when they grow strawberries, they lay down in the dirt. And when they're spraying the pesticides on them, they're laying in the pesticides. Girl, I saw this man talking about it. He said, it's just like putting a tube in your mouth full of pesticides if you eat a non-organic strawberry.
Wow.
So I heard that and I never forgot it. So I like to share that with the people. But going in there, getting the cookbooks, and tonight when I get off here, I'm gonna go back into my day village in the vault, and I'm gonna put all of the ebooks on sale at 50% off. So I'm gonna do buy ones, get one free. I'm gonna lower them down. They can be up as low as $3-4, but 20 recipes are in there. Such great. I'm telling you, being out here in the heat, it's just so soothing. And we used to be going to the store getting $5-6 smoothies. But honey, I'll be like, hey, can I get a smoothie? And they be in the mix, but I love it. The lemon water, all of these great tips, Fit Over 50. That was the other one. That's my other ebook, and I'm not jumping out here doing a bunch of hardcore aerobic stuff, girl. I got couch yoga to stretch, get out, just lay out, stretch your body. I got a weighted hula hoop, girl. Why I get in the jump rope challenge? My knees gave out. I was like, oh hell no. I'm not doing that. This girl gonna have us jump 1,000 jumps a day. The devil is a liar. And the Holy Ghost said, you better get that hula hoop. I got a hula hoop with a weight on it. I'm gonna put that in my Amazon store. So just do what's comfortable. And like you said, take a walk. Get your vitamin D, honey. Get our melanin hooked up. Get all this good sunshine for the melanin skin. And just take a walk and commune with God. But we got one life to live. And this processed food ain't in it. And stay away from McDonald's French fries, because that's the devil too. With all them damn chemicals. They have to put on hazmat suits before they bring them French fries out the pit before they deliver them. And I used to just be going to McDonald's to I want some hot fries. Yeah, right. Okay. That's why they don't turn brown when they be sitting in the basket all day, because they got all them chemicals on them. But my husband make me sweet potato fries now. I love them.
I love the sweet potato fries.
Ain't they good? Ain't they good?
They're really
So
good.
we can do it. We can do it. We can make some changes, save ourselves. I went to the doctor yesterday, said they saw some little calcification in my heart area. So that means get it straight, baby. You better get it together. And I'm gonna go hit my niecey chat and ask her what are some things that can clear out calcification out of your chambers, out of these arteries. Fish oil is good too, because fish oil is like putting lotion in your arteries. My heart guy told me that. Yeah.
That's good. That's
So
real good.
I'm loving this.
Hope
I'm
y'all over
loving
here taking tips that she giving out, that she throwing. I hope y'all grabbing these tips because she is throwing them out. So y'all grab a hold of these tips and push it, because we want to see everybody just live. We want everybody on here. We want them celebrating their 100th birthday.
Yes.
100, 101, 102. We want to see them going. Like we don't want to keep seeing these deaths at 30 and 40 and 50. We need to work on our health. We really do.
Come on. And shout out to the queens, because I see all my queens in the chat. I see Queen Wanda, Queen, Sister Glover, Queen. Who else in there? Z was in there. I see Carissa. Hey, Queen. And all of us, honey, we done crossed that 40 line, and all of us look fabulous. We fight for our lives, and y'all keep it up and spread it with the family, because we are the example. I ain't gonna forget you, King Day. He in there too. But we love it. I love it. Thank y'all for tuning in, and share this. Share it. Because we only getting one life, y'all.
And we gonna live it. And we all gonna live it. So just to close us out, y'all, I just want y'all to know that the reason why we wanted to talk about this today, I know normally y'all used to seeing me just talking about business and taxes and different things like that, but I wanted to switch it up because this is something that's so important. And no matter how much money you can be making, if you're not worrying about your health, you ain't gonna be able to spend that money. So you really got to worry about what's going on within you and make sure that you are okay. So I hope that y'all got something out of this, and I am going to have in the link where y'all can get some of these ebooks that they have, because they getting those smoothies and the different, even if you want to find some other meals to cook, she done put you on game already where she got them laid out for you. So I want y'all to go ahead and just go ahead and support, not just to support, but also help you become healthy. So just to close, I'm so thankful for you coming on with me, Miss Day, today. And we are going to keep this going. We're going to come up with a new channel. So it's not going to be on those business channels, because we want to not just talk about just health. We want to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about them kids, the men, and all kinds of female problems. We're going to talk about it all. So we want y'all to just get in the juice, and we're going to want y'all to stay tuned on that. But just for tonight, y'all, please focus on your health and do what you have to do to stay healthy. And Ms. Day, thank you for coming on today to talk about this, and with your journey and your blessing of just being here, just seeing you and having that refreshing. I remember when we got into the Lions, then we was sitting there and we became partners on there. And from that moment of us having conversation, it was like we just had so much in common. And I was like, you dealing with that too? Me too. I'm dealing with it. And we like, hold on, both of my names Denise. We dealing with the same dramas. Like, what is almost like we twinning over here.
Come on, we twinning. And it's so beautiful. That's what I love it. Iron sharpening iron. Proverbs 27:17. That's where we at. And we're going to share it. The collaborations are going to keep going. And I am so grateful. I'm honored always to be on your platform, to share this love. I thank you for it. And we are in purpose. That's why I said purpose over pressure. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm so grateful.
Women coming together. So not all women are biting out each other and having jealousy and envy. We are women working together and helping support one another. So we can do this, y'all, and we can do it and make sure that we're healthy at one of our journeys as well. So I want to say thank y'all for tuning in. I just want y'all to remember to go ahead. Remember, I'm going to put that link in there. Make sure y'all click it. Get them smoothies going and them meals. And I'll see y'all again next week on Thursday. Good night, everyone.
Good night. I love you guys. Thank you, Queen. I'm going to put everything on sale. So I put everybody in here right now. And I know some of you got it already, but thank you.